Welcome to the PHNX Suns podcast. I'm Lindsey Smith. That's Gerald Bourguet. That's Saul Bookman. Espo is on vacation, so stay out of his mentions this week. Give him some time off. I don't have any clever intros or things to say about either of you today, so just welcome. How are you?
Good. You know, Espo's going to be involved somehow, some way, and then I'm just going to reply with that "Why are you so obsessed with me?" meme.
That's a good one. I'm glad you have a plan already in place.
Yeah, I'm tired. Espo picked a good day to go on vacation, I won't lie. But we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So much fun stuff with Suns Media Day today.
Absolutely. And of course, as always, we are presented by DraftKings. And if you guys sign up today, you download that DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code PHNX and you place a $1 bet on any football game, you're going to get $150 in free bets. So be sure to do that. But Gerald, to your point, lots of stuff happening today. You've been up and at it since bright and early this morning because today was the Phoenix Suns 2021-22 Media Day at Footprint Center. And you guys were both there, actually. Saul, you not to leave you out, you also put in a lot of work today,
right.
too.
Yeah, it's all good. Just come to work and do my job. It's just,
Well, when you're at the top, it's a thankless job. You know what I mean? You're the one who's supposed to be thanking those of us at the bottom, right?
Thank you for everything that you did today, Lindsey.
You're welcome.
Showing up at 12 o'clock this afternoon. I'm so thankful that you were in my life.
Oh, so sweet. So kind of you. I'm going to clip that and tweet it. Well, before we get into Media Day, you guys want to have a fun tip topic of the day?
Yes.
All right. So this one came last night from one Magic Johnson. And he tweeted out a picture of him, Chris Paul, and Mikal Bridges with the caption, hanging out with the best floor general in the NBA today, NBA All-Star, and future Hall of Famer Chris Paul and his son's teammate Mikal Bridges. Was that disrespectful? Unintentionally disrespectful or not disrespectful at all, because it was a hot debate last night on Suns Twitter.
I'm just going to say this. They're not the same person. Magic is a far better person, but I'm going to use this comparison because they're both very bad at social media. Is that Magic Johnson gives me OJ Simpson vibes on social media. Like they both are just out of touch. And you're like, are they really this bad on purpose? And that's what Magic Johnson is for me. And so I feel like he was just kind of neglectful. He didn't realize that it was going to cause the stink storm that it did. And it sure did.
Yeah, no, I don't think he realized. It was unintentionally disrespectful for sure. I think it's unfortunate Mikal Bridges didn't make all defense last year because then Magic would have had at least one thing to throw in there. But instead it's just Chris Paul. Like he gave him more titles than like Daenerys Targaryen. And then we get to fucking Mikal Bridges and it's like, and also this other guy was there too.
It would be like if I hosted this show and I was like, and I'm here with the former Suns digital host and 2-time Emmy Award winner, Lindsey Smith and Gerald Bourguet.
That's me.
Right. That's just mean. That's straight up mean.
And the guy who got hacked one time on Twitter.
Yeah.
I agree. It was unintentionally disrespectful. He could have at least added in a little bit, like up and coming star or all around great defender, whatever you want, but something.
Yeah, NBA
absolutely.
finalist even.
Yes.
Also, I just realized that now that I'm not sitting on that side, my hand gestures can't go as far and wide as they normally do because I almost got her in the head. I got to make sure I keep my hands to myself.
I mean, yeah, we're going to have issues if you accidentally hit me in
Don't
the
worry.
face today.
Lindsey has already tried to bully me out of this chair. She is not happy with the fact that she's in the middle right
I'm
now.
not. That's my chair. I'm a creature of habit, and that includes the chairs I sit in.
She's going to go Kelly Oubre and hit you in the face with a mic here. So.
Max, you better watch out.
She can swing that thing too.
All right, you guys want to get into Media Day conversations?
Let's do it.
Yes?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's start off with Monty Williams, the leader of this squad, and just kind of what you guys heard from him today when you were at the Footprint Center and what stood out to you most.
I mean, the biggest thing I think is that Monty was like really a good reflection of how most of this fan base probably feels, right? Like he even said he was kind of throwing himself a pity party for the couple of weeks after the finals. And then he realized just kind of how blessed he is to even be in this position. He talked a lot about his faith and how it's a get to, not a got to with this team, and how this season really was incredible that they went on this run. Obviously it hurts that sting of coming up short, but the big thing for me that I heard from him was that they're not going to change their approach and how they go about their business. Obviously, the expectation after you make the finals is to make it back and try and get over that hump. But, they're going to be as methodical as they've always been in just taking care of what they do and focusing on themselves, that step-by-step, intermittent, improving month-by-month thing that he implemented last year. That's still very much going to be in effect, even for a young team that has these expectations now and made it to the finals last year. They're not going to change anything about the way that they do, which is a good thing and pretty much what you would expect from a guy like Monty.
Absolutely. No, I just, again, I don't know how many times I can say this. I said this during the entire run last year and basically since he got here. I just love Monty Williams. I think that he's the kind of guy that you ever meet people in your life that you sit there and you're like, I could sit there and listen to him all day. And there just feels like there's just so much information that I could gain from this person, not only on a like an educational level, but also like a spiritual level, just an approach to life that he has. And we have it at first. Montyism today.
Yes.
We go ahead.
Yeah,
you
there's
had
a
it.
new one, right?
Yes, there's a new one.
You earn the right to have short breaks.
Yes. They put this sign up in their facility. Short breaks are earned.
Yeah.
And that's a good message for a team that's coming off a shortened off season that had never been to the playoffs at all, let alone that deep in the playoffs. And, just that mental, physical, emotional toll that it takes to turn around after a tough finals defeat, come back and start a new season this quickly. Like, I feel like we're all kind of like, man, we can't believe that was just a couple of months ago already. So I can't even imagine how they're feeling. So I think he sent the right message to his team with that kind of sign.
Yeah, and I know they're going to have a team meeting tonight, probably a dinner somewhere, I would assume. And the thing that James Jones and basically Monty and other players have kind of echoed is, again, it's kind of like that John Wooden philosophy. It's not about what the end result is and whether or not you can quantify that as a successful season. It's about the process it takes to get to whatever you end up being at and whether or not that was measured as successful or not. Now, that means, did they do everything right? Did they prepare, every single day the right way? Did they do things the right way? Did they execute on the court? Did they play to the best of their abilities? And if they did, and you can answer all those things in a positive way, then you can live with whatever result there was. And I think that's what Monty was kind of talking about, where he kind of felt, he got absorbed in the moment and he felt bad for himself. But then after that 2 weeks is over, it's a little easier to get over things when you know that you did the very best you could have, as opposed to, man, I wish I wouldn't have cut this corner and I wish I wouldn't have cut this corner, because we've all had those scenarios in our life where we wish we should have, could have, would have it. And that's what I appreciate the most about Monty.
I agree. And you can tell that his messages stick with the players on this team, because I would say at least half of them had some sort of statement that was very similar to that. And also not just the letting it go part, but the you have to take this step by step. You can't just jump back into the season and think, oh, well, we made it to the finals last year, so we're good for another finals appearance this year. It has to be calculated. It has to be precise, and you can't skip steps. And quite a few players echoed that. So I think it's good to see that it's resonating with them.
Absolutely.
Not to jump ahead too much, we don't have to talk about what all Cam Johnson said, but one thing I did think that was interesting that he brought up was that, they had a lot of conversations as a team about that finals run. And he said there was, quote, no consistent agreement on what they could have done differently to beat the Bucks. And I thought that was interesting, because I feel like that's a conversation that we've had here a little bit. You've seen it on Suns Twitter a lot. And when each of these players were asked kind of just about that finals appearance, they all seem to have a little bit of a different perspective or take on it.
I think that just points to the fact that it was a collective need for everyone to play a little bit better. It wasn't just on one person or one philosophy or plan of attack. It was the entire group from top to bottom needed to contribute just a little bit more. And I think that would have made the biggest difference. And you can kind of see that towards the end of the season. And that's why I think James Jones can live with the result and understand, like, we didn't need to add one bigger piece, or we need, this or this. We're good with where we were at. We got all the way to the NBA Finals. We just need to make some minor tweaks based on what the regular season and a majority of the playoffs taught us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go from there and we take our chances again. And I think if they take that philosophy and that approach this season, they're going to be right there up there with everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that was reflected in what James Jones had to say about the moves that he made this summer in terms of what, JaVale McGee brings to the table, what Landry Shamet brings to the table. It is interesting that they couldn't find an agreement on where they went wrong in the finals, because the truth is there were so many just little things, even 1 or 2% difference in that area might have changed the outcome. So it's good to see that Monty and James Jones are on the same page as far as understanding that it hurts to get that close to eternal glory in the NBA like that and fall short. But, nobody was picking this team to go to the finals heading into the season. And the fact that they got there was remarkable. So it's a learning experience for a young group for sure. And you hope that they get to build on that, especially with Chris Paul getting older now. But the truth is that this season was just incredible for these youngsters and for their growth and their trajectory moving forward.
Speaking of Chris Paul, James Jones did say today that he is always a full go. He's good for training camp.
Yes.
And so that wrist surgery went well, and hopefully it won't cause any issues for him this upcoming season. And then James Jones also noted, I'm reading your tweet, Gerald, that Devin Booker played a lot of basketball this summer, so he's not worried about him missing training camp, which I think we can all kind of agree on. Take a little bit more time because we want Devin to come back refreshed, healthy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that situation for him goes smoothly, and when he does return, he's at full strength as well.
Yeah, and Monty echoed that as well. They were saying, Booker plays so much basketball. He's the guy that wants to be playing all the time. Obviously, you don't want him to be the circumstances, health and safety protocols, but as long as he's okay, asymptomatic, he'll be back in no time. And he's not a guy that you need to be there in training camp. He's been there for years. He knows this system. He knows the guys that he's going to be playing next to in the starting lineup. So it's not the end of the world that he's not there for training camp. It's a little minor annoyance, and it's one that, a guy like Jason Randall is probably very excited about because he gets his opportunity now. So we'll see.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, Flex from Jersey, that was a little nugget of information that he wasn't able to fully tell us last week, but he alluded to on our show, which, if I'm correct, Flex will be joining us this Wednesday as well, right?
Flex on Wednesdays or Flex Appeal. Sorry.
Flex
I don't know why it was a Flex on.
Flex on Wednesday.
My bad, Flex.
Wednesday
the
Flex.
Flex Appeal every Wednesday. Yeah, he'll be here on Wednesday. He'll probably talk about that as well.
Yes.
But yeah.
All right. Well, you guys want to talk about one of the bigger acquisitions this offseason, JaVale McGee?
JaVale McGee.
Literally, figuratively, however you want to take that.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I say it that way every time he does something? JaVale.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I support it.
I got you.
What did Monty and James have to say about bringing JaVale onto this squad?
James was very complimentary of JaVale in terms of just there's obviously the size, there's the rim protection, shot blocking. He mentioned all those things, but he also mentioned a fearlessness and his competitiveness, which, JaVale McGee has gotten an unfair rep over the years as being, the Shaqtin' a Fool guy. But he's been around so many good teams. He's a 3-time NBA champion. He just won an Olympic gold medal this summer. The guy knows how to play his role on winning teams. So that fearlessness to just go up and not be afraid of being dunked on when he's trying to protect the rim, that's the type of thing that, not that DeAndre Ayton is afraid of doing that type of thing, but that's the type of thing that if you have a guy, a veteran to look up to as well, that's something that can rub off on him. And we all know DeAndre Ayton can block some shots. So that'll be a positive influence, just having another big guy behind DeAndre Ayton. Dario Saric was great in that small ball 5 role last year, but just having more size, rim protection, and kind of hoping that fearlessness rubs off on DA. Those are all positive things.
There was a question that tried to correlate, JaVale McGee to scrappy guy Clippers. Jesus, why am I going blank today? I'm having a brain fart. Pat Bev, yes.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
And I was like, what? That was not.
No.
I would never.
Wait, did you say there was a question today?
There was a
Yeah.
question that was trying to correlate the Pat Bev's impact with the Clippers and how aggressive and how annoying he is, with JaVale McGee coming here and being similar, like a similar type of player. And I was like, Have you not
Yeah,
watched these guys?
that's-
They're nowhere near the same kind of player.
No.
JaVale McGee is not a pest.
No.
He's not an aggregator.
Mm.
He's going to block your shot.
Mhm.
Absolutely, like one of the best shot blockers in the league. And he can do his job. The Shaqtin' the Fool thing, I mean, I feel like as he's gotten older and older, he's gotten away from that.
Yeah.
He hasn't been as clumsy. Just like a lot of us, we start to grow up and we're not as clumsy as we once were. And so I didn't understand that correlation. JaVale McGee's, I think he is going to prove to be the best acquisition in the league this season because of the way DeAndre Ayton is going to perform this year. And you're not going to see it. People are going to give DA the credit because I feel like DA is going to have probably his best offensive year this year. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And people will be like, oh, man, he must have really put in the work. But I'm going to say this right now. It's because he's got to go up against JaVale McGee every single day in practice. And that is what's going to pay dividends.
Interesting. And then I agree with you. I think going up against that type of length every single day is something different than he experienced on last year's team because, it was either Dario Saric or Frank Kaminsky who, probably weighs 105 pounds soaking wet. So, who are we kidding here?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that DA mentioned, right? Didn't he say he's going to help him with his rim protecting or shot blocking, one of the two of those, because going up against him in practice?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's another great way that he'll rub off on him because DA will get used to having to carve out a little bit more space or be a little bit stronger to get his shot off against that type of length. So that's a positive thing. And, NBA practices now are not quite exactly what they used to be, the hardcore, like 3-hour extravaganzas they used to be. There's a lot more that goes into load management and, preserving those off days. But that is a positive thing that could come out of this.
Mm-hmm. And I'm reading a tweet here from Kellen Olson over at Arizona Sports. He said, DeAndre Ayton said JaVale McGee is going to help him a lot. Called it almost a dream come true to have someone like McGee that's a presence inside like him. And then in addition to that, JaVale said he's really looking forward to that mentorship role with DA. And he also said if him and DA end up playing together, then that'll shut down the paint for sure.
I don't want that.
What do you think about that?
We keep trying to bring this back to life, breathe life into this DeAndre Ayton at the 4 thing. And I get it. Like, that's where he played in college. This is the NBA. He's a 7-footer, basically. You're not a 4. Until you prove, until he starts hitting step back threes off the dribble, this man is not a 4. He's a 5. So I know that he keeps bringing it up, and it's funny when he does, but like, stop it. We're not doing this.
That's that U of A bullshit all over again. It didn't work at U of A when they had Dusan Ristic, and it didn't work. It's not going to work in the NBA.
Never.
It just isn't. And DA has proven that he's not a 4. He's a 5. And he's one of the best 5s in the league. So accept it.
Please, just let it sink in and stop the madness.
Okay, but to the mentorship part, it does sound like both of them are very bought into those roles of JaVale being a mentor and DeAndre accepting him as a mentor. And I think that's a positive thing too.
I understand that to a degree, but I don't know at this point. I mean,
Maybe
sounds
mentor is a bad word.
Yeah, because then it makes it seem like DA is still like young in the mind and he's not experienced enough. DA is played every part of 3.5 seasons if you include like the playoffs, right? Like he's there. He's a veteran now. Like he knows the game. He understands it. He understands what's expected of him. Chris Paul did all the mentoring you could possibly want. Now, position-wise, obviously, there's a little bit more relativity with JaVale, but I don't know how much wisdom JaVale is going to be able to provide DA at this point in time. I think it's more just the experience. And yeah, there's going to be little nuggets here and there like, hey, I remember when this happened to me, blah, 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 blah. Cool. But JaVale, if JaVale was the focal point of any of the championship teams he was on, then I would understand it. But JaVale, again, he's basically been a career backup, but a very good career backup, and a very good man off the bench. And so I think, we gotta be careful with like, oh, what's this gonna mean to DA? Like, all right, settle down.
Yeah, it's little tricks of the trade that he'll pick up from JaVale, and especially because they are at this point in time at least, like a similar archetype as far as these rim running bigs. These guys that can block shots and get boards. So it's surface level stuff, but he will pick up little nuggets like Saul was saying here and there.
I will also say that my confidence level, now think about last year in the playoffs. We were all afraid that if DA got hurt, we
Mhm.
would be absolutely effed.
Right.
I don't have that fear as much anymore because at least defensively, they're going to be okay, or at
Mhm.
least be able to, manage the deficit to a degree. So I do feel better about that.
So we're agreeing we're going to eliminate the word mentor, and we're
Yes.
going to replace it with something less drastic, I guess you could say, or less
Yeah.
substantial.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll have to brainstorm.
it's dramatic. It is dramatic.
Okay.
Like he's going to mentor him. Like, sorry, Obi-Wan's not here. Calm down.
So, Gerald, one thing I want to ask you about, because we talked about this before the show started with DeAndre, you mentioned today he talked a lot about sacrifices.
Mhm.
So tell us what he said and kind of your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
So that was interesting to me because the Suns have done a very good job about mentioning how much DeAndre Ayton has sacrificed. So none of this is new information.
Nope.
But, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, anyone listening to this, but I don't remember DA overtly saying it himself before. And so it was interesting to me that he brought up, I've sacrificed a lot during my time here, especially with, contract negotiations either ongoing or, just wrapped up. That's interesting to me. That I'm not going to say it was agent speak or anything like that, but it did kind of seem it was interesting timing. I'll just say that he's bringing up how much he sacrificed, and I think he's kind of sending a subtle message like, hey, either pay me or this year is going to be a little bit different in terms of what you're going to see from me.
Yeah, basically pay that man his money is what that means.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I sacrificed.
Mm-hmm.
I know I sacrificed,
Mm-hmm.
but we ain't sacrificing anything in my bank account. I'll tell you that much right now. DA's going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And after you saw what Michael Porter Jr. just got today,
Whew.
pay that man his money.
Yes. Well,
You're going to have to give it to him.
Zenith, I think, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, in the chat says thoughts on MPJ contract extension and how this impacts Mikal and DeAndre's contract.
I mean, both of their agents are licking their chops, fist pumping right now because, I mean, DA, if Michael Porter Jr. is getting the max from the Nuggets, being a completely one-way player, all potential, DeAndre Ayton doesn't have anywhere near the offensive potential, but what he showed defensively, being a two-way player at age 22 in a finals run, like he deserves the max if that's what MPJ is getting. Mikal Bridges, I'm not sure it affects it too much, but I really do think that we're pushing closer to 100 mil than that 90 mil when we have been talking about like that 90 to $100 million range. I think this gives his people. Right. You might be right. Yeah.
Because y'all said it was a bold statement.
I mean, I was the one who said 90 to 100, so I'm.
That's true. You did.
I was wishful thinking at
80,
4
84.
for 80.
Yeah. It's not going to happen now.
Yeah,
not after that.
Not even a little bit.
Well, did James Jones mention anything about those contracts today?
Yeah, so he was asked about it, and it was kind of not a dodging the question, but he basically said like, we'll work those out. We'll work those out in our own time. Our focus right now is on training camp and what's in front.
Your
of
own
us.
time is in 2 weeks.
So
buddy.
basically, ask me in a few weeks.
I mean, what else were we expecting? Honestly, it's not like he was going to come out and be like, "Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah.
We'll let you know tomorrow."
Yeah.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Chris Paul.
All right.
Obviously, James did say his wrist is good. He said he's been rehabbing every day in the shortened off season, spending as much time with his family. What else stood out to you about hearing from him for the first time in a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just for me hearing just the amount of, I don't want to say pain in his voice, but you could tell that like he's still bothered and very much motivated by what happened in the finals, especially for a guy who's been fighting his whole career to get there. So that kind of stood out to me, that the hunger is still very much there. He doesn't look at this upcoming season as like you need to rest me because I'm getting old type of thing, which could be worrisome, but we'll talk about that later. But like, I don't know. I feel very comfortable that he's still this team's leader and that he wanted to come back here. That was the other big thing that he brought up, is that like, it wasn't even like a decision for him really. It was just a matter of getting the deal done and coming back, because he said he had so much fun basketball wise and just life wise, because he said he's close to his family, but also this team basically became his family last year, which, we all heard him speak ad nauseum last year about how much he loves being around these guys. So this wasn't a surprise to us. It might have been to the rest of the league that he re-signed with this team, but it basically just confirmed everything that we knew about Monty Williams and this team and the culture and how dramatically things have changed since even, 2 or 3 years ago.
I mean, Chris Paul in 1 year became the second greatest point guard in franchise history, point blank.
Yeah.
And he's going to finish his career up as a Sun. And if he goes back to the NBA Finals one more time, you can make an argument that he's the greatest point guard in franchise history. And you might be stunned to hear that because Steve Nash has 2 MVPs, but Steve Nash hasn't gotten to where Chris Paul got with this franchise ever. And if Chris Paul were to bring one home, you might talk about the greatest player in franchise
Ring of Honor
history.
right then.
I was just going to ask, if Chris Paul wins a championship here in Phoenix with his team, is he then looked at as, does he go down in history as a Phoenix Sun? Like is he more aligned with the Suns than the teams he's played on throughout his career? How does that all play out? Because with a guy like Charles Barkley, right, I've heard people make this argument. To me, he's a Phoenix Sun, but the argument has been tried to be made that he's more a Sixer than a Sun.
No,
which I disagree with. I'm just using that as an example. What would Chris Paul's situation look like?
Chris Paul, I feel like no matter what, even if he wins one with the Suns, will go down as kind of this journeyman, because you could think about iconic moments from every stop he's had, like going back to the Hornets. Like, I think the Clippers was a big one for him, and then he goes to the Rockets, and you think about 2018 when he got so close, and then you think about the Suns now that he's made a finals. I think if they win, Suns would be probably the top of that list, but he's just one of those guys that has played for so many teams and has been good on all of them that it's hard to associate with him with one specific team.
And this is the same kind of argument with Charles Barkley, right? Is that, Charles Barkley had a great run in Philadelphia, and that's where he made his name. He was amazing in Philadelphia.
Right.
But when you think iconic moments, you don't think about anything from Philadelphia.
No.
With Chris Paul, with his Hornets days, there's not really much you think about. There's not one play where you're like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. Or one scene. When he goes to the Clippers, like, basically all of his highlights are lob passes to Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, like,
or tragic playoff moments.
Or tragic playoff moment, or getting crossed over by Steph Curry. That's what the thing that sticks out to me, right?
Yep.
And then you go to the Rockets and him limping because he pulled his hamstring, and like, it's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. Then you get here and you see him hoist a Western Conference championship. If he were to raise a banner in this place with a championship finals performance, like, it's the Phoenix Suns, hands down, because he took a franchise who has been basically the model franchise or one of the blue bloods of the NBA without a championship to a championship, and finally got them over the hump. And I think you got to give that man his flowers at that point.
Yeah, I think it would be, honestly, like, even if they don't make it back to the finals at any point through the rest of his tenure, I think you seriously consider putting him in the Ring of Honor just for this one season getting to the finals and what he's doing to the trajectory of this young group. I mean, obviously, we'll see how the next 3 to 4 years play out, but like, he's already pretty close to Ring of Honor worthy in my book. Thanks for that.
What Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling did for the Diamondbacks in that historic run in the playoffs, if Chris Paul and Devin Booker were to actually go all the way through, and they almost did this year, and that's what it was reminding me of, is like just this almost seemingly out of nowhere kind of a hold of this city. And it gave you goosebumps just every single night going to the arena, like, man, we're here. We're here. And that's how you felt back in 2001. We're like, oh my God, we're playing the Yankees in the World Series. Like, is this really happening? And so to play the Bucks in the finals, it was that surreal feeling, and they almost brought a championship. And I just feel like you don't shake things like that. And so,
I mean, I think it's definitely worth having the conversation about it, and like you said, to see what happens in the next few years. One of the things that I really liked about Chris Paul is that he said one of the best things about the Suns this year is continuity, but they can still get better together.
Yeah.
But I like the connection there, that I like that they still have a lot of their same people, but they're focusing on getting better.
You know who else is getting better?
I do. Bring her on in.
Hell yeah. I mean, hey, it's Mercury Monday, and we're excited to bring on Sophie Cunningham, who was epic in the first round of the WNBA playoffs. 6 threes, 5 in the second half, And I saw her behind the scenes, and to say that somebody was hyped up would be the understatement of the year. Sophie, welcome to the show.
Hi, you guys. Thank you. Sorry, I've lost my voice. I was cheering too much yesterday.
I mean, I'm not surprised. There were two really good games, two games that had a lot of emotion, a lot of team excitement. How are you guys feeling as a unit right now, heading into the semifinals?
Yeah, I think we're getting along better than we ever have this whole season. So that's super exciting considering it's playoffs. We're the final four teams, or one of them. And for us to just still be getting along and not wanting to leave each other is a huge testament of, the culture that the Phoenix Mercury has.
Sophie, I mean, I don't know how many times you've been in the zone in your career or in your life, but I assume that it doesn't happen every year. Were you in the zone, or is this just another night for you? You just got an opportunity to prove it.
Yeah, I think I this was more of like how I felt in college. And from high school to college, you have to adjust your game to be better than what you were, because what you did in high school didn't work. And it's the same thing from college to the WNBA. And so I think I'm just starting to get more comfortable. I'm starting to know my role and do my strengths, which is shooting. And so I've been in the zone a lot in college and haven't hit it much here in the WNBA, but I think the other night I was definitely in my zone, and it felt like the old days a little bit.
Well, you know how I knew you were in the zone is when you hit a bucket in the corner and you said something. You said something. I don't know what you said, but I was like, oh, she said something good.
I don't know what I said either. I have no idea. It was an undeserved tech. Undeserved.
Oh, very undeserved. I was watching that and I was like, she can't. You just got to let her have it at that point. What was the key for you getting in the zone the other night? Like, when did you know that you were like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling it tonight?
Yeah, I think the first half was just weird. I mean, there's no energy. No one was really doing anything, and so someone had to step up, and I kind of just came into the game, and I was pretty much like, screw it. Like when I touch the ball, that thing's going up, and luckily they were just going in. My teammates were finding me when I was open, and I was just letting that thing fly. I wasn't thinking, and so it just felt good to go out there and be able to not think and play.
To see your team perform the way they did yesterday against Seattle. So many moving parts in this game. The ebbs and flows of this game. And then you guys go into overtime and survive. What were you feeling? And then also, you didn't play as much in game 2 as you did in game 1,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because somebody came back. I don't know, the GOAT. And so what were you feeling on the bench and on the court during that game, and how confident were you that you guys would pull that out?
Yeah, I think I was so much more stressed. I thought I was like gonna throw up in the second half, because when you're sitting there watching it and you can't do anything but like bring the energy and talk to your teammates, oh my gosh, like I hated that. Like I'm sweating starting to think about it. But I don't really I brought the energy. I still owned my role, and some stuff is out of my control. But when you're in that type of environment and every play matters, you're not. For me, I'm not inside my head. I'm not wanting to be out. Like, of course, I want to be playing, but I'm wanting my teammates to do well so we can win. Because, like I said earlier, we are not ready to leave each other, and we want that championship. So, yeah, I maybe didn't play as much, but it was still just as exciting as the other night.
You guys have the Las Vegas Aces. Tomorrow is the tip-off of that series. Just what are you game planning for around this team, and what are your thoughts heading into the series?
Yeah, this is a really good matchup. We recently just played them. They were our last regular season game, and so we're familiar with them, which is really good. And our BG and Sky didn't really play much, and we lost to them by 1 point. And so we match up really well against them. But they're a phenomenal team. They're second in the league, and that's not for any reason that except that they're really good and they know what they're doing. And so when you're in this stage of the series, anything can happen. So you can't take a play off. So it's going to be exciting. I know that the Phoenix Mercury fans, the X Factor, is really excited. So they mean a lot to us, and they do us well.
Sophie, we've talked about this on the show, but what are your personal thoughts on the playoff formatting, as far as like the first round is exciting with the single game elimination, but then it is also single game elimination in the second round? Just what are your kind of thoughts on that, and whether you'd like to see it as a best of 3 or maybe best of 5 in the second round instead.
Yeah, I think it's weird, honestly. I think that as a player, it's way more stressful. So, I mean, if you win, it's like, whoo, that's the only game. But I think it doesn't make much sense. I think maybe the first game should be single elimination. But after that, we need a series. We need at least 3 games. And then, the final 4 teams can go 5 games. I just think that makes sense. We're the only league in the whole world who really does the 2 single elimination games. And we're the best league in the world. So we should be having more games than that. So that's my viewpoint on it.
When you look back at the game against Seattle, I'm just going to go back to this one more time because there's something to be said about Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi possibly playing their last season in the WNBA.
Yeah.
In a historical context, how much are you able to appreciate these 2 women and what they've done, not only for the WNBA but for basketball worldwide, for little girls and women as well? How much do you appreciate what they've done?
Oh my gosh, it's legendary, and it's weird that as a little girl, they're the face of everything, and then you might be here for like their last year, like you're a part of history because of the 2 goats, which is insane to me, but super appreciative. I mean, just being able to learn and be a sponge and soak up all the knowledge from Diana, and the way that she treats people, the way she treats the game and understands the game is huge. A lot of people. Most people don't get that opportunity at all. And so it's kind of bittersweet. Honestly, some of our teammates, we were just texting about it this morning that Diana is in our team text like, hey, good morning, everyone. Let's go get team dinner. Let's go hang out. And it's like, oh my gosh, like this might be her last year. And like, I'm over here crying because I'm like, I don't want it to be. She's so great. But, she's put in her time and she's done so much for us as women in the league. And so, whatever she wants, we're going to do.
You kind of touched on it a little bit with the things that you are trying to soak up being around Diana Taurasi, but if you could point to one thing that you took away from her, what is that one thing that stands out the most?
Honestly, you would think that like she cares a lot about the game and she cares about how we do like little details she cares, but at the same time she doesn't get too high and she doesn't get too low. Like she does, like if she makes some mistakes, like it's like whatever, like we still have 29 minutes to play. So I think I just kind of respect that her mentality of not really giving a care, if you want to say that.
You can say it.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, honestly. And so for someone to just to be like that, because at the league you think you have to be perfect, you can't mess up. For her, it's like just go play and like what you do will happen. Like don't overthink it, just go be you. And I think that that's something that I'll always carry along with. She's told me that since I was a rookie, so that I'll keep that forever.
It's interesting that you say that because there were so many stories that came out about Sue Bird with the exact same thing, that it's like both of those women are such champions for their teammates and other people around them where, if you're having a bad night or if you miss a shot, they're going to go to you again, or they're going to be the ones who pull you out of that funk. And I just think it speaks to, again, the greatness of both of those women.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you nailed it perfectly. Just the fact that they are the 2 greatest, but they make everyone around them great. And I think that is the best type of leader that you can be. And that's the type of leader I want to be. So I respect that and look up to them.
Absolutely. Well, Sophie, we appreciate you just so much for joining us here on PHNX Suns. And it's Mercury Monday, as we always do every week. And we want to, wish you and your team the best of luck as you head forward to play the Aces and hopefully on to bigger and better things as well.
Absolutely. You guys are so much fun. I love this podcast. So thanks for having me on it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sophie
See
Cunningham.
y'all.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
That was a really nice compliment.
Oh, she
That
said
was
she
a
likes the
pleasure.
podcast. What? Yeah.
I was like,
That's what
what?
I'm talking about.
I'm feeling
Wow.
real good about myself.
You know
right
what's so
now,
funny
all of
though,
us.
and this isn't a shameless plug, hopefully, but when Lindsey and I went to the Mercury game, there were several people there that said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast. Thank you for talking about the Mercury." Like they were showing us a lot of love. Well, they were showing Lindsey a lot of love.
Yeah.
They were like, "Who the fuck's this
They
guy?"
were
Everybody
showing
shows Lindsey love. That's
You
Lindsey
guys are gonna
two-time
make
Smith.
Me feel really uncomfortable. I'm gonna start
Two-time, let's
turning
go.
red. No, but yeah, like Saul said, it's really cool to see a lot of people appreciate. You guys got me all.
She's all flustered.
Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do with that? I'm going to transition us into a DraftKings
There we go.
read.
Let's do
And
it.
by that, we're going to start with you, Saul. How'd your bet go this weekend from our pick of the week last week?
Oh, actually, my pick of the week was good, except I said the Arizona Wildcats would cover the first half spread against the Ducks.
He did.
They were favored to lose, or it was a 17.5 spread.
Mhm.
But my dumbass, instead of picking the spread, I picked the money line, which meant that they were going to just lead at halftime.
Yep.
And I lost.
So are you saying that
So-
you just accidentally clicked the wrong
Yes,
thing, or
yes.
you just?
Otherwise, I wouldn't have pumped it up the way I
No,
did last week
no.
because I was right.
He was
I
right
got
on the
it
money.
right.
He was on the money,
Oh,
but
okay.
I just
I hit
made
the
the
wrong
wrong
button.
bet
Yeah.
with his
That
fingers.
sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It really does.
Well, if you guys want to go out there and make some of the right bets, be sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code PHNX when you sign up. Because if you do use that code and you place just a $1 bet on any football game this week, you are going to receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. So be sure to head over and download the Sportsbook app, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and use that code PHNX. We talk about it all the time, but DraftKings, it's safe, it's reliable, it's secure. It's a heck of a lot of fun. I think I put almost every single bet, Gerald, that you wrote about last Friday. I made all of those futures bets.
No pressure, shit.
I'm really looking forward to the end of this season to find out just how much money I've made off of using the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
If the Suns have an amazing regular season and win an NBA championship, there is going to be the happiest woman in Phoenix sitting on our podcast. I promise you that. Also, the Mercury right now, which I disagree with Vegas on, are 5.5 point underdogs for tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
I like those odds because the Mercury have fared very well against the Aces. As Sophie said, the last time that they played, Skylar and Brittany didn't really play much, and they lost by 1. They beat them earlier in August. So I like the Mercury's chances in this series. I think they match up very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm here for it. So if you want to put some money down on that series, be sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code PHNX to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code PHNX to get $150 in free bets instantly. 21 and older, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And then another quick reminder that if you are a member at GoPHNX.com, you still get 20% off all Cardinals merch for the next few days as a part of your membership deal of the week. So be sure to take advantage of that if you guys haven't already. And you guys, we talked about this a little bit right after Sophie, but it's fun to hang out here on our podcast.
Yeah,
And it's fun
absolutely.
to be in the Discord. It's fun to see all the content we have on GoPHNX.com. All of Gerald's writings. Saul, you actually are writing stuff too.
I did.
Mhm.
I wrote actually about Sophie's performance
Yeah.
Last Friday morning. So
Yes, great piece. It was a lot of fun reading it, actually.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Gerald was my proofreader because it's been a little while. So
Hey, it's a team effort out here. So if you are not a member yet and you want to become a member, just head on over to GoPHNX.com to become a member today. And if you do, you'll either receive a free t-shirt of your choice from our locker, which there's a lot of really great t-shirts in there, or you can get your first month for just 50 cents, depending on which option you choose.
So if you get the annual membership, you get a free t-shirt, or you can just pay monthly and go the cheaper route.
Yeah. Well, and you could do 50 cents for this month and then use 20% off to get a Cardinals t-shirt right now. Or wait until our next deal of the week comes out. That might be something you like even more.
Deal of the weeks come out basically every Wednesday. So
Mhm.
we try to reward our members as much as possible. We try to, make it enticing to become a PHNX member because before you know it, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. This is what happened in Denver. We expect this to happen here. You're going to see PHNX gear everywhere.
Mhm.
And it's a family. It's a family. I really thought you had a horn over there.
That sounded really
We're a
realistic.
family. We're repping PHNX, and it's a lifestyle, as we
Mhm.
say.
It is. So let's circle back around to a little bit more Phoenix Suns Media
Yeah.
Day.
Sure.
We can go down the entire roster of what people said, but
Mhm.
before we maybe take that route, is there anybody that stood out to you that we haven't talked about yet that you enjoyed what they said one way or the other?
I mean, I just got to shout him out really quickly because we're not going to spend a lot of time on talking about him this season, probably. But Chandler Hutchison really did impress me as far as he knew a lot about the guys that were already on this team and their skill sets and what they bring to the table. And he was really well spoken, seems like an intelligent guy. So I was impressed by him. But the other one was Jay Crowder, who was very just kind of honest and upfront about the mental and emotional toll of going to back finals and coming up short in both of them with condensed off seasons both times. Like, this guy has put his body and his mind and his heart and soul through the ringer these last 2 years, because he is a very fiery competitor. And he came so close with these two teams that no one expected to get there, so close to getting over the hump, didn't make it either time, and now is kind of dealing with the aftermath of that for the second year in a row. And so I thought it was really, I don't want to say brave, but it was really a stand-up thing from him to hear him talk about, like, I'm seeing a psychiatrist about dealing with that, kind of building my mental stamina after that experience, because he admitted, like, last year, especially at the beginning of the season, there were times where he was just kind of checked out, or his brain was fried, he said. And I thought that was just very honest of him to say that. And I think that's the type of honesty that could help some of these younger guys get through that same disappointment of coming up short and then having to turn right back around, get your bodies back in shape, and try and do it again. So I thought that was kind of a moment where he wasn't trying to be a leader or even necessarily offering anything to his younger teammates, but that's the type of thing that could help them as they're trying to make this quick turnaround.
I think, if we just took an NBA player and we put them into the I'm not going to say the real world, because they are in the real world,
Right.
but like the normal everyday world, right?
Like corporate America
like
or
what
something
we
of that
do
sort.
on a day-to-day basis, right?
Mhm.
Every person in their job at some point hits a wall
Mhm.
where creatively they're just in a funk, or they just lose the passion for whatever it is. And usually a couple things either happen. Either you move on, you go to a different job, you get promoted maybe, or there's some type of change or dynamic shift within your workspace that kind of reinvigorates you somehow, some way. You need one of those three things to happen for you to be able to advance, right?
Mhm.
Well, in the NBA, there is nothing like that. Unless you get traded,
Right.
there is no promotion. There's
Mhm.
nothing going on. Jay Crowder's already a starter. He contributes quite a bit to this team. So how do you navigate those mental hurdles on a day-to-day basis when you hit those walls? And I think like, to your point, it's remarkable that he owns that, and he's not afraid to share that, because a lot of people need to hear that, especially normal everyday people like ourselves, where there's times where you just like, oh my God,
Mhm.
do I really have to go into this fucking job?
Yeah.
Like, but you do, because other people are relying on you, so that way they don't have to carry the weight of your burden as much. And so I appreciate him for saying that, for sure.
Sunder's Dunks in our chat said, I'm sure more players could use a sports psychiatrist. I think you could eliminate the word sports from that, Sunder's Dunks. I think you could just, a lot of people and players in the NBA, of course, could just use support from a psychiatrist or a therapist, because it is a mental load. And especially when you're in a position like Jay is, coming off 2 back-to-back shortened seasons, on top of everything else that the world is dealing with. That's a lot.
Absolutely. And what's so funny is I have a relationship with a former U of A track athlete, and they used to talk about how they did have a therapist or a psychiatrist that would help them overcome mental hurdles, because she at one point was also like she was tired,
Mhm.
and she lost her enthusiasm to be able to play the sport that she loves so much.
Mhm.
And so she was trying to find it, and it was hard for her. And to watch her go through that for like, I'd say 6 months, and the tears and the emotion behind it, because she just couldn't find it.
Mhm.
And then when she did find it, you could see it was like a whole new person.
Mhm.
It's like, oh man, I figured this out. Like this is what I was missing. And so for Jay to be able to identify something before it might have happened, or maybe he got a glimpse of something that he didn't like, and to be able to find the help to deal with that, I think is just remarkable. And a lot of people, just not even athletes, just a lot of people, if they could just take that one little grain and try to learn from it and grow from it, I think this world would be a much better and happier place.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a lot of disgruntled people
Oh,
in
yeah.
the world right now
Yeah, no
that could use a therapist
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Not even just in the world of sports, for sure. Because
yeah,
it's
you can't blame anybody for that.
no, I think people take for granted that these guys, even though they get paid millions of dollars and they play a game, like there is a lot of pressure. There are a lot of obligations that come with that. So it's good to hear these guys when they talk about their mental health and prioritizing that, for the rest of us to remember that, like, hey, just because they play for my favorite sports team or whatever doesn't mean I just expect the world of them all the time without anything giving. Like these guys go through it just like we all do.
Mhm.
So
Somebody in the chat said, I know I need one.
Hey, join the crew.
Same, for
Like
real.
we are all a part of this, okay?
For real.
All right, one thing we have to bring up before we close. Mikal Bridges
yes.
said
Oh,
that little Red Sea in reference to obviously the Cardinals' Red Sea.
Mhm.
Okay, what was like the mood, the vibe when he made those
yeah.
He
statements? there
I
today?
tweeted out he chose violence.
He did.
Because he's a Rams fan,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody had asked him, they said, did I see you at the Rams game yesterday, which he was at.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man.
He didn't even remember that the Rams were playing the Cardinals either. That was
Yeah.
the best part, is he made his little Red Sea comment like before anyone brought up like, oh, they're playing the Rams this weekend, right? And he's like, oh, I forgot about that.
And then on his way out the door, he did say, oh man, I'm gonna pay for that Red Sea comment. I just know it. They're gonna be all over me. So you give him hell, Cardinals fans.
Yeah, hit him up in his mentions and but be nice about it. But just, you could be a little petty.
Yeah, give him a little grief.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. He
Hopefully-
deserves it for that.
Hopefully the Cardinals can win this weekend, and then you can really give him hell.
That would be so funny. Oh man, that's a bet we're gonna have to look at the odds on tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or Wednesday and decide. Maybe we can see if is Mikal allowed to even bet on professional sports? As long as it's not the NBA.
As long as it's
right?
not his own sport, I
Yeah,
think he can.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure.
I feel like we should convince Mikal to make a bet with all of the Little Red Sea.
Oh.
So it's
I like
Red
it.
Sea versus Mikal, and
Yeah.
for this upcoming Sunday's game, I think that would
Get
be
him to use that code
hilarious.
PHNX.
Yeah, there we go. So he doesn't have to lose out on
Mikal Bridges
anything.
uses the code. Why don't you?
Well, we are about to wrap up here. So before we do that,
Mhm.
again, one more time, because you guys were both there at the media day. Anything else that stood out to you or you want to have a conversation about real quick?
I think my overall takeaway was, damn, it felt good to be back at media day. Number one,
Mhm.
like media day is not one of my favorite things to go to or do.
Mhm.
I don't think it's really anybody's favorite thing, but it's a necessity. It's a way to kind of get your foot in the door, and it's the signal to the start of a new season. And to see the players walking up and down the hallway, they all were in a great mood. I actually saw JaVale, DeAndre taking pictures together, and they were just joking around, having a good time. It just felt like the vibe was like, okay, we're getting back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy. And, this season I think is going to be electric because now, let's be real, the playoffs and the finals, there's a certain dollar ticket that you need to have to be able to go to those games. They're a little expensive from time to time, but regular season is a little bit different. And I think a majority of Suns fans will now be able to be inside the building and take part in that. And I'm just excited for Planet Orange to really soak that all in, because it's going to be a fun year, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think my biggest takeaways were that everyone, all the players, everybody were on the same page as far as not skipping steps, which we talked about. And then the other big topic that's been coming up, not just in Suns Media Day, but throughout the NBA, was the whole vaccination thing. And every player was asked, and all of them that were there are vaccinated. Devin Booker was not at media day, health and safety protocols. So everyone on the Suns is vaxxed that we know of that was there today.
Also,
So
can I address something real quick?
Sure.
Everybody was all up in the chats yesterday talking about the Kardashian curse. I'm here to tell you that there is not a curse, because my man got all the way to the NBA Finals with Kendall Jenner, and I don't think the curse is real.
No.
So there you go.
We don't
Or
do
maybe
that.
it's because she's Kendall Jenner instead of Kendall Kardashian.
Yes.
Because it is a quote-unquote Kardashian curse.
Mm-hmm.
She's not technically a Kardashian.
They do lump them all in together, though.
They do.
Okay, but you can't just lump people in a box, Saul. You know this. Okay, but my two things that I really appreciated was DeAndre started, I think, his presser with Phoenix about to be a lit city or something like that. And I think that was kind of set the tone. It sounded typical DeAndre. And then JaVale McGee started his presser by taking a picture of all the media who were there with a disposable OG camera. And he told us the blog is coming to Phoenix. So we're going to get a lot of really great content from JaVale McGee this season, which, I mean, I think that'll be super fun. Give us a little glimpse even more behind the scenes of what's going on in that locker room and with those guys that we all love to watch night in and night out.
I just love teams with chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it when they all jive together. It gives me a warm feeling to want to support a team like that, because, you know, it's something that we all hope we have in our lives. And to be able to see that every single day and understand that these guys absolutely love each other. I'm just ready for the season.
Oh, and we should probably plug the Elfrid Payton interview that we did today.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah, that probably would be a good idea. Actually, let's go ahead and run a clip from that,
why
because we've
not?
had this whole time and we just didn't even say anything. This is him talking about Chris Paul trying to recruit him to the Suns.
You know, he was saying that they had a few guys on the board that they was looking at, and I guess they must have asked him for his, opinion. And, this is a conversation that we didn't have before, and when he was in other spots. So, I decided to take him up this time.
So for that complete interview, you gotta be a member, and you can see it behind the scenes. That's a little snippet that we'll play for you. But he had a lot of really insightful things to say about not only Chris Paul recruiting him, but the choice to come back to Phoenix, and the differences really between now and several years ago, when Devin Booker was just a wee little lad.
A wee lad. Yeah. It was interesting because you realize that the last time Elfrid Payton was here, Devin Booker's the only remaining Sun from that same team, which is remarkable.
Crazy.
So, yes, become a member, get that sweet interview, that content. Had to get one in there for you, Espo, while you're on vacation.
Sweet video content.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I'm Lindsey Smith. That's Gerald Bourguet. That's Saul Bookman. This is where I'm supposed to tell you where you can follow us on social media.
At Gerald Bourguet, at Lindsey Smith.
AZ.
Oh, I always want to say NBA. Did it used to be NBA?
No, always been AZ.
Okay, never mind. I'm
and
wrong.
Saul_Bookman.
The underscore's there because
Elfrid Payton is on gophnx.com.
Okay.
I don't know. What were you going for? You can't put me on the spot like that.
The underscore's there because Lindsey wants her seat back. That's why.
There we go.
Oh, that's right. That's bringing it back around. My bad.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And don't forget, you can get some sweet free bets by downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app and using the code PHNX when you sign up. And then you get $150 in free bets after you place just a $1 bet on any football game. We'll see you guys tomorrow.